us facilitate the meeting. The goal for today is that this is a conversation. We want for these meetings to bring value to you so that you are empowered to utilize the Drupal tool to communicate to our constituency. So I'm going to just let you know, we started the recording. This meeting, this session will be made available on the cmscolorado.gov website. And I am trying to slow down my speak of I had feedback that I speak too fast, so I'm going to try to be mindful about not speaking so fast. So call me out if I am just going on autopilot and speaking very quickly. So I have shared my screen. Thank you so much for being here. For those who have been here before, this is just another session for us to go over the things that have changed on the Drupal platform in the context of the Drupal 9 to Drupal 10 upgrade. This session will be recorded and made available to you. Please visit the CMS Colorado website so that you can view all of the releases, accessibility information, and also the recordings. We're going to use the cms.colorado.gov as our training resource, so we're going to get in there in a minute. And the other piece of housekeeping is just to make sure that you take space, because this is a collaboration session, so I want for you to take space, but also to make space for others. So if you're a person who likes to do a deep dive and you want for me to demo something, just let us know. We want for these to be valuable collaboration sessions between us and you, our customer. Okay? This is a statement that we have on the website. This is something that we have visited, but I didn't want to skip over it. So I'm just going to allow you a few minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay. The next screen is regarding rows and cards as well. Should anything change, we will make sure to provide you updates in different mediums, different vehicles. Training and support for this particular format will continue through the end of the month of May. And after that, we will determine if there is need for continued sessions. We could just go down to maybe once a month. But again, just let us know if these are of value. If you have feedback about those, put those in the comments so that we could tailor these sessions to be of value to you. Okay? This is about the layouts content type. We continue to make improvements and to roll out fixes to things that have been reported by the Drupal user community. So again, this is our commitment to the layout content type. Things are going to continue to evolve as different Drupal versions continue on Drupal 10. Okay. And this is what we hope to do today. So with your permission, I'm going to move over from this agenda screen to the cms.colorado.gov website, but we are wanting to touch these. So you will see me refer back to this just to keep us honest, just to make sure that we're covering these things. If these things are no longer of value to you, I ask that you propose items in that agenda, things that you want to see for your team members who might be joining us, what should be a constant, what is already understood. Again, this is a sample size of our user community, but my focus, as you know me, is to provide value. So again, just make sure that as we're going through today's session, I would like to see more activity in the comments so that we could tailor next week's session. So without further ado, let's go ahead into the CMS website. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to log off to show you how we authenticate. Now, this is cms.colorado.gov. If you need to have the link, I'll put it in the chat. Just let me know and I'll put it there for you. But to authenticate, to sign on to your websites, and some of you have been assigned multiple websites and some of you build multiple websites, right? So this is a multi-site. Each site has a unique authentication. Now, there are two ways that you can authenticate onto your database, your website. You could do it by leveraging the Google single sign-on feature like I am going to do, or you could use a more traditional user and password. And the reason why we're sharing this is because recently, Google has a new face. They have changed. I think you have noticed this when you logged into your site most recently, that the Google page is looking a little bit different. So I wanted to go through this. This is an integration. This is just Google. It's not us. But if you leverage the Google sign-on, you just click, tap, or select this button right here. Alternatively, you would just use your username and your password. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Google, and you're going to see that the GUI, the styling of this is different for Google. So it's horizontal instead of vertical. So there are some visual changes to the Google single sign-on, but that doesn't change your experience once you are authenticated. We're good? Okay, so I'm going to use my eGov account. And once I authenticate, you will notice that there are two additional bars or menus now present. This is a visual indicator that I am an authenticated user. Okay. And when I see here, it will default on my avatar, Cecilia.Hemlee, and I have some options that relate to my user account. And the reason why I'm going through this is because we have seen questions in partner support about how it feels different from before. So just to let you know, this is your primary navigation. The Drupal community of users will be calling this the admin menu. There are many different names for this, but all it is your primary navigation when you are authenticated. Now, this is a toggle. If you did not want to see these, you could just toggle it off and it will give you more real estate if your display happens to be small. I'm using my big monitor for training, so I could just have it toggled all the time. But this is just a toggle, and you could hide this menu or you could display it. Now, again, the shortcuts is not available to all of the users. There is a research and development ticket for that. We will get more information about how the shortcuts feature will be available in the after accessibility mitigation project. So we haven't forgotten about your questions. I'm not going to cover shortcuts because it is not available to everybody, but I am going to cover manage because this is your most frequently visited tab. And when you click on manage, you have the ability to, again, toggle off and on these menus. These menus are dependent on the user roles that have been given to you by the entity project manager. Because I am administrator for all 530 websites, I have greater modules present in my display than what a content editor would have. Now, among these modules, you will see additional tabs and flyout menus, again, based on the roles that you have been assigned by your entity project manager. Okay, so a little bit of feedback that I heard was that this is a little bit confusing. So for the sake of this example, I am going to use a different user to mimic the experience. So this is a demo user that is a content administrator and a structure administrator. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to masquerade as this so that you can see, so that what you're viewing today is similar to what you're using at work. Okay. So from here, you will see that you have the module for content, for structure, and for configuration. Again, depending on what user roles, your configuration module will look different based on what you are allowed to do. Now, the first thing that we wanted to do today was to access the media library. For that, I would like for you to tap, click, or select, depending on your device, on the content module. When you are within the content module, you will be presented with the media library. Okay, now this media library, the default tab is also called content. All of the content that has already been created on the website will be displayed in a table. This is all this is. This is a view. Because it is a table, you have the ability to sort your results by these headers. Not all headers, but the ones that you could hover, and you will have that call out there, that description. Those are the different headers that you could use to sort the table with all of the items that you have added to the content tab within the media library. Now, again, this is a website that has a lot of content. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, you will have pagination, and that pagination will allow you to navigate back and forth to continue to search items within your media library. In addition to that, the content, which is the default tab within the media library, has parameters at the top that will allow you to further narrow down your search so that you can access your content easily. If I know that the content that I am looking was authored by Cecilia, this is just the person who authored the content, not necessarily the most recent update. I can narrow the content that Cecilia authored. I could hit filter and it's just going to do that. These are parameters that are going to allow you to narrow down the results from your search. Now, when I filter, after I filter, like with any table, you could further sort the results. And you will still have pagination in the event that this author has a gazillion pages, right? And lastly, from this, I wanted to show you that you have the ability to do bulk changes. And those actions are in this little drop down. You can select the items from the list. Just be mindful that these actions, like deleting content, cannot be undone. Okay? So those are the little functionalities of the media library. Now I want just to make sure that we know where to add a new piece of content. So there is a blue call to action little button. It says add content. This is going to provide you with all of the different content types that we have available on Drupal. So just follow along with me if you wanted to do it, if you're authenticated right now, or if not, this recording will be made available. You could follow along on the recording. But to add a new piece of content, all you do is tap, click, or select this add content button, which will give you the list of all of the content types that are present at this moment on Drupal. As we continue to iterate and build further, there might be different ones, right? But these are all of the content types that are present at the moment. The basic page is the one that we're going to use for today's example. And if I start to talk fast, just holler, okay? So I'm going to click, tap, or select on basic page. And the basic page is going to be the one that we're going to use to leverage those rows and cards from the paragraphs. That is what we had in the past. The amazing Drupal team has made sure that rows and cards is sustainable within this environment, so you could still leverage those rows and cards. You could still visit the content from the media library, or you could create new pages leveraging paragraphs, rows, and cards. Now, from here, nothing has changed. It's all the same from your Drupal 9 experience. You have the left main container to build the content, and then you have the right panel to do publishing and metadata and URLs and some other functions related to that content. Now, the default tab is going to be the body. You do not have to leverage the body. You could build strictly in rows and cards and not even put anything in the body. The other alternative is that you could start to build in the body and never leverage rows and cards. So again, this is not a mandatory. The only thing that is mandatory is the title field. Now, I'm just going to add, what are we doing today? Let's say I have to get creative because I've used sample title 100 times. So this page is going to be called Dragonflies. I'm going to show you something, but just follow along. Just wanted to let you know that the data that populates in the title field will create the URL for your web page. The node will always remain the node, but the title field will populate your URL. And I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. The moderation state of the page by default on a basic page is draft. This will provide you with a pink visual background. That is your visual indicator that your content is in a draft moderation state. Okay, so I'm going to leave it in draft because this is not ready for prime time. I'm going to hit save, and now my page has been created. This page you could find in the media library. This page you could link to other content. This page is out there. This website is in the production environment, right? Here you would notice that I have that pink background. If I link content to a page that is not published, it's going to return access denied. Okay? So just make sure that when you're linking content, your moderation status for the pages that you're linking is published. If you don't want it to be published, just expect the page denied, access denied message for unpublished content. Are we good so far? Alrighty. So from here, I have the opportunity to change the moderation state from draft to publish by selecting the apply. And here is my page out in the environment, and you will see that the URL has changed from node to Dragonfly. Now I'm going to go back into the page to show you something real quick. The node for this particular page is 12091. That is the node. That's the fingerprint. That is the node. Node ID never changes. Now I can make the vanity URL be whatever, but that node is always the source of truth. This is what this page is called, regardless of whatever vanity I create. I say this because there are instances in which you have a business case that you have a very long title that needs to be in the title field, but you don't want that to be your URL. You could deselect the automatic generation of URLs which will provide you with an open field where you could populate the content that will be that vanity URL, that URL that is forward facing. But the node will remain always the same. This is very important when we are redirecting content and making links using the link it feature. Okay, so again, just put it in your back pocket if you don't need it now, but in the future, if you have a need for making redirects, just schedule a one-on-one. I am more than happy to guide you through the process so that we do not get access denied for unpublished pages or page not found for content that has been deleted when we're leveraging URLs. Okay. All right. So I promised I was going to cover this. Good. Let's go ahead and move along. I am not going to make any change to the URL, so I'm just going to reselect this generate automatic URL. If I make any changes to the title, just be mindful that the URL will change. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that this change will create a revision, and those revisions will always be there. The system does not delete the revisions. Every single time you save an edit on a page, it generates a revision. This is important for versioning. Say that you have a form out there that needs to be removed and somebody says, I'm referencing this from November 2023. You could go into the version of that page and verify the information there. So if you have constant changes of documents and files on your website, you could leverage the revision to have that verification. Yes, this page had this file, this page had this image, whatever the versioning scenario will look like for your agency. But again, every single time we hit save, a version of this page is created and saved. The only way that you could delete it is by the operator, and we don't touch it. We don't have any way of knowing when you create content, so we don't know. So if you wanted to delete the revisions, that is a operator. You will need to execute that change. All right, I'm going to go back to the view. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and edit. And I just wanted to point out that there are some changes to the CK editor. The two most significant ones is the insert media and the link it feature. And right now we are at 15 minutes in, and I think I'm doing good with time. So sample link is the anchor text that I am going to implement here so that I could demonstrate how to create a link. And this is tying back to the conversation of nodes and URLs and all of that good stuff. So when I determine that this is my anchor text, I am going to highlight the text, and then I'm going to look at this feature right here, which is the link it feature. This is going to pull content from the media library, but it's also going to allow you to enter a URL from an external source. So to that, we call that the absolute path. So if I wanted to use the absolute path, I could start to type. So this is CMS. Let me do something else. Demo.colorado.gov. So this is absolute path, and I'm going to an external website. Now it has the entire protocol, and I do not have do I have a typo? No, I don't have a typo. Now from here, some of the questions that came were regarding the adding the area label and the open and new target. Those questions came from partner support. If you hit this advanced, it will give you the caret down option, and you could take care of that right here. This is a toggle, so just slide it over, and then you will just accept the changes, okay? And this is creating your link. Now this is linking, as you note here, and on the bottom right corner, bottom left corner, it will say demo.colorado.gov. This is an external link. Now, if I wanted to do the relative as it relates to the website, I'm just gonna hover over this anchor and select it. So I'm selecting my anchor text. I am using the same exact feature. For those of you who remember the Drupal 9 experience, we had two different linking features, and now those two are combined. The first example is doing the absolute path. This one that I'm going to show you now is going to link to a node, okay? So if you are linking to an internal page, do not use the absolute path. If you use the URL for a relative path, if you make changes to the URL, you're going to get page not found, because when you change that name of the page, it's not going to find it. So let's make sure that we search within the media library. I'm going to highlight, I'm going to select the link it, and let's just do platform, because I do have a lot of content that has platform in the title. Okay, so when I scroll down here, the first list of results, because it is an alphabetical sort, is going to be content. Now, if I scroll further down, there might be a file. So it would have another section saying file, and it will list the files that include platform in the title. And I know that this could be tremendously boring, but if you have any questions, stop me. If this makes sense, let me know. Go ahead, Dougal.
So Cecilia, we have a few questions that came in. One that came in regarding the login and how there is sometimes an error or a lag time between 4 seconds to 21 seconds when they're logging in. Any way to address that, or should they open a ticket?
No, I can address it right now. So what happens with that is that in order to prevent spam, we have implemented a few different technologies and features to prevent bots from coming quickly and just, submitting malicious type of submissions, just trying to spam your forms. One of them is called Honeypot, and Honeypot is a module that our amazing Drupal team installed, I think, a month ago. And what it does is that it has timestamps and invisible fields that not the human eye can see, but it will just trap those, kind of like it will trap you if you're a bot, and it will not submit the form. So for instance, if you're like me and you have counted, or you do a lot of tab navigation, and you have counted that from the time that you log in to hitting the login with Google, you could just tab, and it hits before 3 seconds, Honeypot is going to catch you because it's going to think that you're a robot. So what it does is that it makes an estimation as to how long the human, not the robot, will access the button. And that is the threshold that we're using. Now, that is a totally non-technical description of what Honeypot does, but this is pretty much describing how it behaves. If you hit the form before 3 minutes, it's going to add, before 3 seconds, it's going to add 3. Did I say 3 minutes, Alfredo? If you hit the form before 3 seconds, it's going to hit you again to allow it 3 more seconds. So you will see if you hit it at the 1 second marker, it's going to add 3. That's going to be 4 seconds. If you keep on hitting it, guess what? It's going to continue to challenge you because you're not you're getting caught on the timestamp trap, if that makes sense. Now we have a lead developer here. If you wanted to give more, Alfredo, if you wanted to provide a technical answer to it, but it's what it does.
I don't have anything technical, but I was under the impression that that all roles could bypass the honeypot restrictions. So if you see that you're getting that restriction on a form, go ahead and raise a flag on it and let us know, because the intention was that we could have roles actually bypass that timer. So I have to look further into that if that is becoming an issue. But generally, it should take more than 3 seconds to hit a submit for honeypot not to act weird. So that was kind of my question. I guess it's a question to myself now. It's like, I thought we had roles that could bypass that. So let us know what form that's actually giving you the issue with, because I'd be curious to go in and check it out myself.
Yep, it's happening on the Google single sign-on, on the /user login. That's where it's consistently happening.
Then if it's that form, that would be an anonymous user. So then that's doing its job correctly.
Exactly.
So what you said.
And that's when the question came up. Yeah, that's when the question came up. So let us know otherwise, but we can definitely tackle that one. There is one more that says, can you please demonstrate how to integrate the bullet point feature? Bullet points have been an issue for me, and I can't seem to figure out what the correct pattern is. For example, if I paste a list of anything in there and I want it all bulleted pointed, it will auto format and only bullet point the first item. Each situation seems to be its own problem to solve every time. So if you can go through that as well while you're doing the links, that would be great.
Absolutely. And I think the first item that we have to address is that I just ask of you, when you are creating content, not to copy paste unless you are stripping the format, and to leverage the editor to add the desired format. Does that make sense? So if I have something on a Word document and it's already formatted, what I will ask of you is that you highlight that section of content And when you are ready to paste the content into the Drupal editor, that you will use either a left click to paste without format at minimum. At minimum. So when I paste the content, it will not carry over any format, right? If this is problematic and you wanted to take the document, work it off of a notepad, I know I'm dating myself to be a dinosaur, but I have all of my files, all of my copy that I have to put into the CMS. When my supervisor gives it to me in Word from SharePoint, I drop it in Notepad because I want to see it in Notepad without any format. And then I put it in the website that way. But when you're bringing content that is copied and pasted, it's going to have challenges. It might conflict with the format that you're trying to do here. So my recommendation is to bring the copy that has been approved by management or whatever that you're ready to populate into your editor, and then from there apply the formats from the CK editor. Just like when you're doing, I mean, I know it seems a little bit easier, but if you bring links that are not properly implemented with the link at feature, if you bring images that are going to have strings of code, it's going to break your pages and it's not going to behave as expected. So again, I tend to use my copy, take it from SharePoint, from Word, drop it into Notepad, or use the right click and paste without format. So if I wanted to do different formats here, I can apply those formats as we go. So that's your quote, that's your ordered and the unordered. Now, if you look at the source, it will show clean, right? So this is your list, and then here you have your other list. Let me make this a little bit bigger because I don't think you guys can see this. Is this better?
Yeah, this looks good.
Okay, so here is my first list with item 1. Item 2 is there, and then I have my block quote. So it allows you to strip all of the additional noise, and you will have greater success when you are publishing your pages so that it is consistent. We did have some people reach out through partner support because they had a lot of things that they had copied and pasted and they were bolded and italicized, and I had to help the customer strip all of the content, drop it into Notepad, and paste it without format. And then all of the pages were uniform using the editor. I hope that answers your question. However, if it does not, let me know and we could schedule a one-on-one to do a deeper dive and see how can we make sure that all of the pages are consistent and that the fonts are accessible.
Thank you, Cecilia. We do have 2 hands that are raised that I wanted to address. Scott, okay. Did you have a question for us?
I did. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay. I just wanted to go back to the link. You had that drop down, I think what you were calling the honeypot. I noticed that there's, and I think you briefly mentioned it, that there's that little toggle switch that you can say to open in a new window.
Yes.
I have a question about that because opening links in a new window is an accessibility problem for people who are blind. They don't always know that they are now suddenly in a different window, and then they kind of get stuck because they don't know how to go back to where they were before. So I'm curious if there's any, by toggling that, does that include any kind of code or anything that would announce for a screen reader to say that it's opening in a new window?
I need to look into that because there is it will read target blank. Alfredo, do you have the answer to that question?
I don't think there's an announcement on there. We're probably, I would say, if that is an issue you're finding, to not use it and make note of it because we are diligently working on adding improvements for our accessibility. That one I've never really thought of. I've always just said, well, then don't let it pop up in a new window. But if it has to, then yeah, maybe there should be at least a tooltip or something on that link that we can add that says this will open up in a new window or something. So we can make note of that and then make sure that it's accommodated as well while we're working on our accessibility tickets.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Awesome. Thank you.
We do have
I mean, Oh, sorry. I was just going to say we typically don't do that, but there are rare occasions where maybe there's a process flow or something where that person might want to have to go back to review a page and then go forward again and that kind of thing to have more than one page
Right.
open. So just I wanted to mention it.
But there is on
Thanks.
the forward side, on the customer end, there is the icon. So it's a matter of addressing, and I will take this to the larger Drupal team to have conversation about this as it relates to WCAG 2.1 AA and AAA to make sure that we are meeting the criteria. So I have a note to go back up to my team, the Drupal team, discuss it, and I could provide information. Scott, remind me of your agency again. Is it Dora?
Oh, sorry, CDPHE.
CDPHE. Okay, got it. I'm going to create a ticket on your behalf.
Thank you.
CDPHE. And then we will respond through the ticket, and I'll find your information after the fact. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
We have one more hand raised. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Carrie, I saw that you had your hand raised.
Thank you so much. And thanks, Cecilia. It's so great to see you.
Likewise.
And I look forward to actually getting to meet with you, specifically, Nogul, in our
Me too.
meeting have in a couple weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I am also.
Yeah, excellent. I just wanted to talk on two of these items because this has been one of my kind of overriding concerns has been specifically about accessibility and how components that are being created and rolled out are being done in an accessible way consistently. So that has been like a very important piece to me because, I haven't quite seen that consistency yet. So what's really nice, Scott, about this link, how they have it, and now that you can just do the toggle. So for our site since November until this rolled out to our site on April 1st, we had to go into the source code to create this so that it could be done in an accessible way. But now this new button tool and link tool that just rolled out for our site, everyone else or the non-custom sites got it a little sooner than us. We just got it this month, and it's working really, really well. And it is accessible, Scott. And so we've already tested it through our thing. So I actually already know that this is true. So I might be able to just help a little bit. So I thought I would just say these things out loud.
Thank you.
Right. So, but test it too. I know you're going through all the testing and doing all the things. So obviously I'm not saying take it off your list, but I do know how it works. So the WCAG accessibility rules, what it shows for opening when you're leaving, or if you're going to a PDF. So even if it's within your site in like you uploaded a file that's a PDF, that also needs to be accessible, everyone, but that's going to be another vendor you're working with, or you're going to know how to do those things yourself. What it also needs to say on this, if it's going to a PDF in parentheses PDF. So it would be really cool if an update that Alfredo, that potentially gets worked on for this table or this button tool that you just rolled out and is a wonderful improvement, and I really appreciate it, would be had to have that option so that we wouldn't have to always do it in the text and train all of our users that they need to go, whatever parentheses PDF and paren right around those. And we can get in Nogul, perhaps when we meet in a couple weeks, we can show you all of these things. We have tickets in for this, but maybe they don't quite make sense. And I understand that because it's hard when you're reading things versus discussing and getting the nuance of things. So I completely understand. But it would be nice perhaps if we end up having a couple. So it's like if you're linking to a PDF or if you're linking, because we have it do different things, because it can be a doc and it can be an Excel, right? Because there's certain things you can do. So or a Google Doc, right? And so it'd be kind of nice if that was even an option. And if not, that's fine. We can keep doing it in the text. And so then anyway, that would be a nice upgrade. That's a nice to have, not a have to have. So it's just an idea that I think would actually help everyone on the platform do a better job at hitting all these accessibility timelines. And it seems like something that could be programmed in on the backside so that we're doing it. So I don't know if it turns into another drop down or what it is. You know, it might be a place where going out to Drupal, to the Drupal community and looking through some of the options for components, because maybe someone out there has already built it. And so you at least could have that as a starting place for your coders. So I just wanted to mention that piece as well, just specifically around the accessibility of this. So I hope that was a little helpful. So thank you for the time.
No, thank you so much. Again, just for context, the OEdit website is slightly different because it's custom, and that's where we have those scheduling. So again, for the people who do not know, OEdit is a custom website where your website might be one of our 530 that more on the traditional side. However, I am going to write this as a research and development ticket because I have enough information to go off of what you have said today. So I'm going to put this in the research and development board for us to allocate resources to it, research it, and see what we could turn back. Because I am not sure what the plausibility and what dependencies. So maybe Alfredo and the team, we could take this offline and we could, again, associate OEdit to the ticket and we will provide feedback through the ticket. Dale, go Alfredo.
So, and Carrie, I like the question. It also reminds me that I can tell you if you have examples or you've seen this on other websites, feel free to pop in those links with any screenshots as well. That would, we know what we're like looking at. And, you know, these nice to haves are much more fun to work on than the must haves, if I have to be honest. So I'd love to see it demonstrated somewhere, and then we can go back because like you said, there's a chance that this plugin already exists, but we didn't know that there was a need for it. So
yeah, no,
thanks.
I completely understand. And so we've just been managing it in the text, but since we were specifically talking about this one, I was like, it would be really nice if it could be, and I think it would help everybody on the platform. So I think it could be there. I can take this offline, and Noble, when we meet in a couple of weeks, we can talk then, because I have a couple other ideas of components I've used in the past that I know exist out there as modules that you could just pull over and then probably integrate, that I think would help people across. Anyway, there's some things we could do with images that would work a lot better on the website. So I have been working with Drupal. This is my 4th organization since Drupal 2. And so I have a lot of experience on the content side, and I've used lots of different iterations and implementations of it. So I've seen a lot. So I sort of know lots of different components. I understand that I know, I have just a lot of experience from the content side and out on the code side. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you.
Totally. Do we have any additional questions I haven't seen come through?
I think we're good so far.
Okay. Well, again, Carrie, I'm going to be on the lookout for all of that because I want to make sure that we formulate these into research and development, and we could have the conversation tracked and documented so that we could report to you and to the entire team as to what the outcome of this question is. Now, I'm going to, with your permission, switch over to our agenda. We did look at a basic page. Landing page is totally the same. It just doesn't have a body. You just go into building with rows and cards, and nothing has changed with rows and cards, only the CK editor. What I would like to do now, if we don't have any other questions or any other demo requests, is just show you what the layout content type looks like. So if we don't have any other objections, maybe we could just go ahead and jump into that. But again, I really love what today has become more of a conversation. Let's just keep that going. In order for me to access the layout content type, I'm going to click, tap, or select on the content module. The default tab of the media library happens to be the content. For that, I'm going to tap, click, or select on the add content button, and it's going to provide me with the same list that we saw earlier, right? This is the same list of content types that are available for me to build. I'm going to scroll down to layouts. Now, we are aware that the word or the term, the label layouts, is utilized about 4 or 5 times in the Drupal backend, and they mean totally different things. But here is a content type that we are going to use. It's the layout builder. This is not new. It is new to us. We implemented this in Drupal 10, but it has been out for a while. So some of you with previous experience might have seen this differently, but this is what the layout looks like. Again, the only required field is the title. And from there, it would generate the same URL and it will replace the presence of the node. If I do not deselect that feature, it would just, just be the node. So for this example, if I Dragonfly, let me call this one. And I think libélula is dragonfly in Spanish. So let's go ahead and do that because I am running out of titles. So here in the bottom, I wanted to, this is my biggest takeaway. If you are working on a site that is already in the production, and let me slow down. If you are working on a website that is already in the production environment, and you are working on content that is a layout, I ask that you deselect the publication, the publish as the moderation status, because that is the default for the layout content type. Okay, and this is the one difference that has a huge impact. If your page is not ready for prime time, please go to the bottom left corner and deselect the published box. There is a draft moderation state for the content type called layout. I know it looks different. It doesn't say draft. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert in the body. Let's do an image. We're just going to insert using the media feature, and it's going to pull an item attached to a node in the media library under the media tab. Now I have some options here. And for here, I'm just going to use the full content as this image was uploaded into the media library. I also have a small media render, which is what just happened. And then I have the featured image. So I invite you to play with these different displays of content, the different sizes, so that you can see what it looks like before you put your pages out for the users. So I just added the image. You see that it has here the ability to give me that return. And now I have my space right here at the bottom, and I can insert different things like a table. I could just do other things or start to type here. Whoops. And don't backspace like that because you would do exactly what I just did. I have to slow down sometimes. Sunset.
Cecilia, while you're doing that, there is a questions around, I think R's and C's, is that rows and it says, I know R's and C's are still functional, but did we lose the ability to move the rows around? It was there, and then the option to move them around went away.
No. Okay, let me take a look because Lord knows I teach this many times a week, many times a week. And the rows and cards were there this morning, and I was able to move them up and down. But I will circle back. I promise. I will circle back to that. Let me just show you real quick how you can save the content. So this is just an image that is already in my media library. And the reason why I wanted to do that is to show you that this icon right here will pull an image from your device. It is asking you to insert media from your device. This one here with the image and the musical symbol points to the media library. Okay, so there's 2 different features and there are different functionalities with it. So in order for you to have your alternative text already pulled in and leveraging a node that has an image attached to it, you want to go this route. Okay, you could have management of all of your files if you leverage the media library. If you insert the media to the page directly from your device, you will need to manage that separate because it's not going to be something that is in the media library. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the bottom and I am going to save it as an unpublished. And I just want y'all to see that there is a draft moderation state right here. You have that pink background. If you wanted to create your layouts by adding sections and onto those sections adding blocks, I would like for you to click on the 4th tab of this edit page, and you're going to go ahead and click on layout. Now from here, you will have a different display of options because this is a different content type. It's not It's not R's and C's. It's not rows and cards. Okay. So from here, you would notice that what I populated in the body is coming at section 1. Okay. So the body is section 1, and you can format it just like you would when you do the body and rows and cards. So you do not lose access to it. What I did want to point out is that with the section, you have a perforated line that will indicate the boundaries of your section. And if I scroll down, you will have the option to either add a block to the existing section or add a new section. To add a new section, just click, tap, or select this option here, and the flyout will come from the right, and it will allow you to select the number of columns you want to utilize to display the content. One thing that is different is that in the rows and cards, we utilize fractions to represent the distribution of cards on the row. Here, it's just percentages. But in essence, it's the same. It's just, do I want to do 1/2, 1/2, or 50/50? If you drop down here, you will see the different options that mimic the same experience you had with rows and cards paragraph. So you haven't lost the ability to determine how the distribution of cards is displayed on your sections. Pretty much the same thing you had on your cards. Okay. So really quickly, I'm just going to select on this 3367 so that you can see what we used to do with the rows and cards. And I'm just going to add the section right away. When I am adding the section, you will now notice that there is a perforated dotted line around the boundary of the block. So you still see this is configure section 2. Section 2 has 37% and 66%. I think I might be off on my math, but you know what I mean. We have 1/3 and 2/3. Now, in order for you to add content here, you want to click, tap, or select on the add block. And when you are adding here, you have these components here. Okay, so this is the menu that says choose a block. And then you have the top section. If I open this section, it will give me the blocks that are currently available. One of them is the open embed, where you can add videos or embed content with iframes from other places. And we still have the maps. We still have the icon blocks. I'm going to show you the basic block because this one is used the most. You have the ability to show the title or hide it. And then here you can take advantage of all of the CK Editor 5. So if you notice down here, it will say that it is powered by CK Editor. This is CK Editor 5. It's the same thing that we use in rows and cards. It's the same thing that we see in the basic block or card. It is right here. So everything will be the same. If I wanted to pull an image from my media library, I could leverage that. I'm going to close out of here. If you wanted to insert a link, you could do that. So everything is the same. No more CK Editor 4, CK Editor 5. If you have questions about CK Editor 5, I am happy to entertain further. But I just want to make sure that I cover this so that we could go to our other question. Now, for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to add a map. No. And I'm just going to call this one Tyler, Colorado. If I wanted to add a description on top of my map, I could do that by leveraging, again, the CK Editor and its functions. But if I go to the bottom, there is going to be a field where you can enter the address. So I'm just going to enter our address over there in downtown Denver. If you want to have a coffee, just come and holler at us. We're happy to have you. But I'm just going to hit add a block so that you can see how the block is showing the title. If I don't want to display the title, I just toggle off of that option and it will not display it. If I wanted to have a description, the description will be between the title and the block because that's how the card is configured. I said card, I should have said block. Now, one thing that is the most important and the fun little piece of this is that, you see when I hover over a block, it really doesn't matter what block it is. I could use the 4-directional arrow to move the block within the section. Alternatively, if leadership says, no, Cecilia, that block had to be on the top, I could just go ahead and put it on another section, right? And I'm going to scroll up so that you can see that the map that I created in section 2 is now present in section 1. Okay? So these are things that are benefits. It has loads of different use cases. One of the ones that I know I was supposed to show you, and I think I forgot, and for that I apologize, is the configuration of the header. So this section was configured to have 33 and 67. However, I forgot to show you how to change the header. So I'm going to say that this header is going to be called H2 because it's descriptive. If I go into configure H2 and I decide what is visible to the end user, here I could change the title wrap from a header 1 to a header 2. I could change the position from it being flush on the left. I could change it to be in the center or at the right if you have a use case for that. And then I could change the color from the default black to, let us do blue. Now, once I have these visible, you don't even have to add a title. You could just wrap the header. You will see the changes right here. So that is my header 2. That's the title of my section. This is the title of my block. This is the 4-directional arrow that will allow me to move this over. The blocks have a perforated dotted line, and the sections are wrapped in a perforated dash line. I don't even know what those are called, but I'm making it up. If I'm wrong, just correct me. But I think you can see what I'm trying to say here. We have dashes for the section, and we have dots for the blocks. Now, I know we have covered this at length, but I did want to save the layout so that you see how it looks. When you save the layout, you're saving the changes to the layout right here. However, I had it in the draft moderation state. Okay, so that pink background tells me that nobody can see this but the internal authenticated users. This is what I want to do. I think this is ready for prime time. I'm going to select publish and I am going to hit save, and then you won't see anymore the pink background. Your users will not get access denied because this content is now ready for prime time. Okay. This is our little sample page. If you wanted to make any edits, you will click on the 4th tab on the top where it says layouts, and then you could go in here and execute those changes as needed. Okay. And again, we could spend hours talking about layouts, but if you need more, let me know and I'm happy to meet with you. I know I have schedules to meet with many of you. We could keep that going as long as you need it, but this is that. What I want to do is go into the content module. I'm going to click tap select the content module. We're going to go back to those rows and cards questions about things moving along. I'm going to go into, actually, let me just go into the homepage. Homepage is a layout.
So you can ignore that. It looks like it's working for Sonia now. So the rows and cards are, yeah.
Thank you,
so
Sonia, because that's a big deal. Alrighty, so we have about 7 minutes before the end of this conversation, which I love that it's a collaboration. What will be of value for you to see here?
So Carrie did volunteer to talk about the first question about the bullet points and stripping the content. She can answer the question regarding how to do it in an accessible way. Let's give her the opportunity to do that.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you for the time. So with accessibility and creating content, one of the most important things, and what the thing that causes, I was going to say, the majority of people when they first, if you've never done website content moderation in your life and you just come in to do it, this is the thing that is the it's like annoying to have to do it the way I'm going to describe it to do it, but it's the only way to do it in an accessible way. So back when I started my career, nobody worried about accessibility. It wasn't really a thing, and you kind of just went and did things. But now we do things in accessible ways, right? Because we want everyone to be able to access all of our resources since we're the state of Colorado. And it's going to be required by House Bill 211110 that comes into effect on July 1st of this year. So we want to make sure everybody is doing things in accessible ways. So the number one most important thing for everybody to do is to please, please, please never just copy paste straight from Word. It's going to bring in all this crazy code in the background that Word puts there that you don't even realize is there. And it is just a mess for web pages. But there's a really easy way to do it. So all you need to do is, you know how usually I'm a quick key person. You can tell I've been making websites since the late 90s, everyone. So I've been doing this for a really, yeah, and thanks Cecilia, for putting the legislation bill in there. I appreciate that. Oh, so there we see. Copying and pasting. Yes, well, internal links, but just copy and pasting in general. So thank you for showing this resource. So there are two different ways to do it. And Cecilia showed one of them, right? So you can do the copy paste with your mouse, and you just have to make sure you paste in plain text. And then you have to go back in and redo all the formatting with the WYSIWYG that's on there. That's always been the case. It's been this way forever and ever. There's no way to get around it. That's just the reality of the world. So I'm actually a 3-screen user. But so what I usually do is I have my Word doc on one side, since I'm like a content creator for so many years now, everyone. Oh my goodness. And the website on the other. So I copy and paste it over, but I like hotkeys. So how do you do it using hotkeys? You can Control C, anything you want to copy over, come over, and you know how you normally just hit Control V to paste it? Oh, you guys, that's going to bring in all this code. That's bad. What you want to do, so you do Control C to copy, and it copies. Now what's happened is you've grabbed all that code in the background, and you're like, I don't want that code because it's going to mess up my web page. So you come over here and you go Control and the Shift and the V, Control Shift V, and it strips all the code out and you're set. So I'm a huge Control Shift V, like into the website human. So I highly recommend this little tip. It will make your life so much easier. But then you do have to go back in every single time and like go put in your bullet points and go put in your stuff, because that is the only way to make it accessible. And now, as of July 1st, it's already required by WCAG and by the state. But on July 1st, then we really need to be there. So yes, Control Shift V, there you go. Thanks, Cecilia, you put it in the chat and I really appreciate that. So yeah, I highly recommend that tip. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. We actually do have this on the homepage of cms.colorado.gov. There is the 10 top mistakes to avoid. 10 top. It happens because it's easy for you to do Control Shift and not just add the V, right? So again, we understand that it happens, but if you need more in depth, I am happy to meet with you. The link to my availability is on the website. So feel free to reach out. We don't want for you to suffer in silence. So again, any questions that you may have, if you go into the D10 training and support, this is where I am putting all of the videos for these sessions. So they're going to be here, and I'm sorry for the scrolling quickly, but if you needed additional support, you could just click here, and this is a link to my availability, and it would just populate from my Outlook. It is real-time data. So if 2 of y'all hit at the same time and book, I have to maybe move you around, but this is what my Outlook looks like. Again, I really appreciate you being here. I think you guys know me 4 years now as a collaborator more than anything. I hate talking at people. So as much as you can, if you want for me to demo things beforehand, please, please, please just send me an email through partner support. I want to make sure that these sessions are valuable to you, because if not, it's a waste of our time, right? So let's just make sure that we continue these conversations. I really enjoy what we have done today. We are almost at time. I wanted to ask our directors if there is any feedback that they have for us. Dave, Alexa, Nogel.
Hey, I think we got all the questions in the chat. Nogel, you've been on top of it. I don't see any others, and I don't have any other feedback other than, certainly from my perspective, thanks for the collaboration. Love, Carrie, you jumping in and giving that tip. That was awesome. Certainly welcome more of that in these training sessions going forward.
Thank you so very much. Again, Nogel, I think we have Barry on the call. Do you have anything for the team?
We just had one more question from Sonia. She's going to just connect with you directly around the events and cloning. And so that's the only thing that we have left, but thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be on the lookout, Sonia. Just put yourself on my calendar and we'll have a chat about it. Again, thank you so much. This recording will be made available and it will be on that page that we just showed. Oh, what is happening here? Not sure what's going on. At any rate, thank you so much for being here. I will make this recording available to all of you. And if you need us, please, 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 we have new resources at our PMO. So send us an email directly at partnersupport@www.colorado.gov. That is the most efficient way to get a hold of us. And we want to make sure that we answer your questions. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, team.
Thank you,
Tyler team.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Everybody have a
Alfredo.
great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
See you,
Bye,
Cecilia.
guys. Bye. Have a great day.